I'm Remo, and this is the Daily Signal for June 20th, 2025. Breaking overnight, the Middle East erupts as Israel and Iran exchange devastating missile strikes, airlines ground flights, and the world watches a nuclear facility burn. Here are today's top 10 stories that will shape your day. Iran fires cluster bomb missile at Israeli targets, first confirmed use of banned weapons in this conflict. Israel strikes Iran's nuclear reactor at Iraq, massive explosions visible from space as facility burns. American and United Airlines ground all Middle East flights effective immediately, millions of travelers stranded. Israeli leadership declares Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei can no longer be allowed to exist after hospital bombing kills 47. Body of civilian Maria Peshkuryova pulled from missile strike rubble. Iranian attack claims first named victim. Europe launches desperate diplomatic blitz to prevent Trump-backed Iran bombing campaign. Air India caught flying passengers on planes with broken emergency slides. Safety inspections 3 months overdue. Oregon volunteer killed defending Kyiv, latest American casualty in Ukraine's grinding war. 12 Palestinians killed while waiting for food aid in Gaza. Strike hits humanitarian distribution point. Dramatic photos emerge showing escalating destruction as Israel-Iran conflict enters deadliest phase yet. Now let's dive into each story with the details you need to know. Breaking overnight, Israel confirms Iran launched a missile equipped with cluster bombs, marking the first use of these internationally banned weapons in this conflict. Cluster bombs scatter dozens of smaller explosives across wide areas, designed to cause maximum civilian casualties. Here's what happened. The missile struck near populated areas, with Israel's defense forces confirming the cluster munition payload through debris analysis. This represents a massive escalation. Cluster bombs are banned by over 100 countries because they indiscriminately kill civilians long after conflicts end. Why this matters? Iran crossing this red line signals they're abandoning all restraint. International observers are calling this a war crime, and it gives Israel justification for unprecedented retaliation. Israel just struck Iran's unfinished nuclear reactor at Iraq, and satellite images show the facility is burning. The heavy water reactor, crucial for plutonium production, suffered what Israeli officials call substantial physical damage. The strike happened at 3 a.m. local time, with multiple explosions lighting up the night sky. Iran spent billions on this reactor, and it's now essentially destroyed. No casualties reported, but this attack directly targets Iran's nuclear weapons capability. The critical detail: this reactor could have produced weapons-grade plutonium within months. Israel just bought the world years of safety, but Iran will retaliate hard. American Airlines and United just announced they're suspending all flights to the Middle East, effective immediately. We're talking about millions of travelers affected and billions in losses. The airline cited escalating security risks as Israeli and Iranian missiles fill the airspace. Routes to Tel Aviv, Dubai, Riyadh, and Doha are completely suspended with no restart date announced. Here's the economic impact. Oil prices jumped 12% overnight. Travel insurance claims are exploding, and this could trigger a global aviation crisis if other carriers follow suit. If you have Middle East travel planned, cancel now. Israel just issued its most direct threat yet, declaring Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei can no longer be allowed to exist. This came after Iranian missiles struck a Tel Aviv hospital, killing 47 people, including patients and medical staff. The hospital bombing happened at 6 p.m. yesterday during evening rounds. Rescue workers pulled bodies from the pediatric wing for hours. Israel's prime minister called it systematic targeting of civilians. This isn't diplomatic language. This is Israel announcing they're planning to assassinate Iran's supreme religious and political leader. That would trigger all-out war across the Middle East and potentially draw in the United States. We now have the first named civilian victim of Iran's missile strikes, Maria Peshkuryova, whose body was recovered from apartment building rubble in Tel Aviv. She was 34, worked as a teacher, and had 2 young children. Rescue teams found her body after 18 hours of digging through concrete and twisted metal. Her apartment building took a direct hit from what Israeli forces confirm was an Iranian ballistic missile at 2:30 a.m. Why we're naming her? Maria represents the human cost behind these headlines. She wasn't a soldier or politician. She was getting ready for work when a missile launched 1,000 miles away ended her life. This is what modern warfare looks like for civilians. European leaders are working around the clock to prevent what they're calling Trump's Iran bombing campaign. Behind-the-scenes diplomatic sources say former President Trump is pushing current Republican leadership to support massive airstrikes on Iranian cities. German Chancellor and French President Macron have been on emergency calls offering Iran off-ramps, basically ways to de-escalate without losing face. They're proposing immediate ceasefire talks in Geneva. The problem, Iran rejected the initial proposal within hours. European diplomats have maybe 48 hours before Israel launches what military analysts expect to be the largest bombing campaign in Middle East history. Stunning aviation safety news. Air India has been flying passengers on planes with broken emergency escape slides for 3 months. India's aviation regulator issued emergency warnings yesterday after discovering massive safety violations. Here are the shocking details. One Airbus A320 flew internationally to Dubai, Riyadh, and Jeddah with escape slides that hadn't been inspected for over a month. Another plane was 3 months overdue for critical safety checks. This means if there had been an emergency landing, passengers couldn't have safely evacuated. The slides are literally your lifeline if a plane catches fire during evacuation. Air India just admitted they've been flying death traps, and regulators only caught it by accident. An Oregon man who volunteered to defend Ukraine has been killed in a Russian attack on Kyiv. Military sources confirm he died during intensified Russian bombing campaigns targeting the capital. His name hasn't been officially released, but he's at least the 12th American volunteer killed fighting for Ukraine. He left his job in Portland to join international fighters defending Ukrainian cities. Here's what this tells us. The Ukraine war isn't winding down, it's intensifying. Russia is launching more attacks on civilian areas, and American volunteers are dying in increasing numbers. This war is far from over, despite what you might hear in political debates. At least 12 Palestinians were killed while waiting for food aid in Gaza yesterday. The strike hit a humanitarian distribution point where families had been waiting hours for basic supplies. Medical sources confirm the victims included women and children who had been in line since dawn. The distribution point was clearly marked as a civilian aid site, making this attack particularly controversial. Both sides are blaming each other, but the reality is clear. Civilians trying to get food are dying. This is happening weekly now, and it shows how impossible basic survival has become in Gaza. New photos are emerging showing the devastating scale of the Israel-Iran conflict. Satellite imagery reveals burning oil facilities, destroyed military bases, and entire city blocks reduced to rubble. The most striking image shows the Iraq nuclear facility with massive black smoke plumes visible from space. Another photo captures the moment of impact as an Iranian missile hits Tel Aviv, with a massive fireball lighting up the night sky. These aren't just news photos, they're documentation of what could be the start of the largest Middle East war since 1973. The destruction is already unprecedented, and military analysts say we're seeing just the beginning. Here's what connects all these stories. We're watching the Middle East transform into a regional war that could reshape global politics forever. The pattern is clear. Iran has abandoned diplomatic restraint by using cluster bombs. Israel responded by destroying nuclear facilities. Airlines are treating this like World War III by grounding all flights. European leaders are panicking about Trump's influence, pushing for massive bombing campaigns. This isn't just a Middle East conflict anymore. It's affecting global aviation, oil prices, food supplies, and drawing in major world powers. The Ukraine war is intensifying simultaneously, meaning we have 2 major conflicts running at once. Here's what you need to watch for in the next 48 hours. Israel's response to Iran's cluster bomb attack will likely be massive. If Israel strikes Iranian population centers, Iran will close the Strait of Hormuz, which carries 20% of global oil. That means gas prices could double within days. The most critical indicator: watch airline stocks and oil prices. When major airlines ground flights to an entire region, they know something catastrophic is coming. This is the Daily Signal. I'm Remo. Stay informed, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow with the latest breaking developments.